Hey there, I'm Andrea from Santa Fe Painting Workshops. Every artist has experienced this issue. You have a paint color you want to use and your paint cap is stuck. You try really hard to open it and it just won't budge. Whether you use oil or acrylic paint, this can happen and it can be really frustrating. Well, today I'm going to show you several different ways to get that paint cap open without ruining your paint tube, and also several ways to prevent this issue. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So when it comes to acrylic paint, the first thing to try is just some warm or hot water in a bucket or cup and just put your paint tube right into the bucket for about a minute or so. This will loosen things up and make it easy to open up your bottle. If the paint is really stuck, you might have to wait a bit longer. Once you wait a minute or so and you try to open it, it should come pretty easily. This method has actually rarely failed me, so always try this one first. Now the next method is using a jar opener. This is actually used for the kitchen, so it's a kitchen product and it's for various size caps, as you can see. So even a small paint tube like this, and all you do is you put it inside and then you rotate it, and then that's it, the cap is off. Now, if you use big paint tubs like I do, then this will also work. So you just put the jar opener on top and then you rotate and there you go. That will also get your lid off very easily. If your paint is really dry, you might want to soak it in water first using the bucket method. And when I have my big tubs like this, as you can see, it wants to float and go like that. So what you want to do is put your container upside down and then put like a can of food or something on top of this. It'll press it down to the bottom. And then you can just wait a few minutes, then try the jar opener again, and that should work. If you need to get your paint bottle open right now and you don't have a jar opener and the warm water is not working, you can use a wrench. Now, I've used a wrench in the past when I had oil paints that were stuck. And unfortunately, what I found was when I tried to open with the wrench, it would create a hole up here at the top and it would basically ruin the tube of paint. So be really careful with this method. Once again, with acrylic, you want to soak it in warm water first to get things loosened up and then try the wrench. A few other things you can try are rubber gloves or a silicone pad. Now this one's not super ideal for something big like this. You see it's too small, but it will work for a small cap like this, or just wear some rubber gloves and proceed to open your jar of paint. Now that you know how to get the stuck cap off, let's talk about prevention. The number one thing you want to do is after your painting session, you always want to clean the threads. So around here we have the threads. You can see mine is not totally clean. So what you want to do is get a wet rag and you just wipe that really well. Then you might take a paper towel and just wipe the excess off again. And then if you really want to prevent your paint from sticking, use some petroleum jelly. Put that around the side, around the threads, put your cap back on, and then that will keep it from sticking. Another thing you could do is put some plastic wrap on top. Screw the cap back on, and then that also will keep your lid from sticking. The only thing with that method is I feel like you could actually create a tear in the plastic wrap, and so you have to try this one out and see if that works for you. I prefer personally using the petroleum jelly. Now you can also use petroleum jelly or plastic wrap if you're using oil paint. Another thing you want to consider is don't tighten your cap really tightly. You just want to make sure it's tight and there's not any air coming into the paint tube because that's what dries it. So it doesn't have to be like the tightest you can possibly do it. So I might tighten it all the way and then just maybe ease off like a half turn or a quarter turn. And that should be plenty to keep your paint from drying up. As you can see, just because your paint tube is dry and you can't remove it, it doesn't mean your paint is destined for the trash. If worse comes to worse, what you can do is you can cut the bottom of your paint tube and squeeze the paint out from that side. All you have to do is get a Ziploc bag, put the paint inside, seal it well, and that will keep your paint wet. So I hope these tips were really helpful. If you have an idea for how to fix a stuck paint cap, or if you have an idea for how to prevent it from happening, go ahead and comment below. I would love to see what worked for you. So quick little note here, if you're a representational painter and you want to learn how to paint abstractly, I've got just the guide for you. If you look down the description box below, just below this video, you'll see a link to a guide, and it's 5 different exercises that will transform your art from representational to abstraction. So these exercises take you from being a pure representational painter and then little baby steps to taking you to full abstraction. So if you'd like to learn how to abstract your work a bit, go ahead and click that link below. The guide is totally free.